Different date, same fate. I'm gonna knock out Jake Paul.
Mike Tyson just brutally crumbled Jake Paul after announcing some insane new fight rules. I mean, it was pretty obvious Mike wasn't gonna let him off the hook after all that trash talk and hype Jake was stirring up. But the real kicker? Jake tried to cancel the fight, thinking Tyson was too old to keep up. Fishy, right? Well, Tyson slapped him with a whopping $350 million fine. That was Tyson's way of saying, no one messes with me. And now Jake's agreed to fight back, but this time it's all on Tyson's terms, with rules designed to push Jake to his absolute limit. So on July 5th, 2024, Jake Paul shocked the boxing world by announcing he was canceling his big fight with Mike Tyson. Jake claimed he was worried about Tyson's health, saying that at 58 years old, Tyson might not be ready for a fight like this. Jake tried to position himself as the good guy, looking out for Tyson's well-being, but the reaction was anything but positive.
Devastating news. I'm heartbroken, speechless, gutted. We've been working so hard over here, everyone in this camp, and I just feel bad for everyone involved in this.
Instead of understanding, Jake was hit with a wave of anger and disappointment. Fans, promoters, and sponsors felt blindsided, and social media exploded with outrage. For months, everyone had been looking forward to this fight. Tyson had been training hard, showing off his intense workouts online, and the excitement was through the roof. Then, out of nowhere, Jake pulled the plug, leaving everyone asking, why? Tyson, who had been working like a man on a mission, looked anything but fragile. His training videos showed a fierce competitor who was more than ready to step into the ring. So when Jake claimed he was worried about Tyson's health, it seemed like a weak excuse to avoid a fight he might not be able to win. The backlash was swift and brutal. The decision left promoters and sponsors scrambling. Contracts were signed, advertising was in full swing, and merchandise was already on the shelves. This fight was supposed to be a huge event, but now everything was in chaos. What was meant to be the fight of the year was suddenly in danger of falling apart. On July 6, 2024, Mike Tyson responded by hitting Jake with a $350 million lawsuit. This wasn't just about money. It was Tyson's way of showing that you don't mess with him and get away with it. The financial impact of Jake's decision was massive. Promoters and sponsors had poured millions into this fight, with companies like Monster Energy and DraftKings leading the way. They had spent big on TV ads, billboards, and online campaigns, turning the fight into a global event. But with Jake canceling, all that money was wasted, leaving these companies with nothing to show for their investment. Sponsorship deals, which were supposed to bring in big money, turned into financial disasters. The venue, a huge arena that was ready to host thousands of fans, was left empty, a stark reminder of what could have been. Months of planning and millions spent on securing the venue and organizing the event were lost. Then there was the merchandise. The drama didn't stop there. On July 20th, 2024, Jake Paul announced that his new opponent would be Mike Perry. Just weeks after backing out of the Tyson fight, Jake had found a replacement, a fighter known for his raw, aggressive style.
Yeah, the news is true, folks. I, Jake Paul, will be fighting Mike Perry, Tampa, Florida.
Mike Perry, a former UFC fighter, wasn't like the polished boxers Jake had faced before. Perry was a brawler, someone who brought an unpredictable, wild energy from his MMA days. The announcement created a buzz, but it also raised questions. Was Perry really a good substitute for Tyson, or was this just Jake's way of trying to save face? Promotion for the Paul vs. Perry fight kicked into high gear. Press conferences were heated, with Perry promising a war in the ring and Jake trying to keep his confidence up. Social media buzzed with speculation as fans and critics debated whether this fight could live up to the hype. But no matter how hard they tried, the shadow of the canceled Tyson fight hung over everything. Fans couldn't shake the feeling that this was a step down, that no matter how tough Perry was, it wasn't the same as a fight with a legend like Tyson. Despite the excitement, the fight with Perry felt like a consolation prize, a plan B that didn't have the same weight as the original matchup. Fans were left wondering how this fight would measure up to the one they had been promised. The buzz was real, but it was mixed with disappointment, a reminder of what could have been.
This fight.
Yeah, the biggest ever.
Ever. It's on pace to be the biggest fight ever.
Yes, and we're involved.
We're involved, right?
We're involved. All those big shots, all the biggest athletes in the world, this is the biggest ever.
November 28th. Let's
Lit. Hey, we lit here. We lit at the Tyson Ranch.
And just when Jake Paul thought he had found a way out of the Tyson mess, the legendary boxer pulled a move that no one saw coming. On July 10, 2024, Tyson announced a brutal new set of fight rules that would push Jake to his absolute limits, both physically and mentally. Tyson wasn't just looking to win. He wanted to prove that even at 58, he was still the most dangerous man in the ring. First, Tyson extended the fight to 15 rounds, a throwback to the old days of boxing when endurance was just as important as skill. This wasn't just about nostalgia. It was a strategic move to test Jake's stamina like never before. Surviving 15 rounds with Tyson wasn't just a fight. It was a marathon of pain, a test of willpower, where even the smallest mistake could be disastrous. For Jake, who was used to shorter, explosive fights, this was a whole new challenge. It wasn't just about staying on his feet. It was about having the mental toughness to last against one of the fiercest fighters in history. But Tyson wasn't finished. He slashed the rest period between rounds from 1 minute to just 30 seconds, doubling the intensity of the fight. In boxing, that extra 30 seconds is crucial. It's the time fighters use to catch their breath, regroup, and get advice from their corners. By cutting the rest time in half, Tyson was forcing Jake to fight under extreme pressure, with barely any time to recover. This wasn't just about physical endurance, it was about mental strength. The ability to keep going when every part of your body is screaming for relief. The shorter breaks would leave Jake vulnerable, testing his limits in every way possible. Tyson also demanded the use of 8-ounce gloves, a small change with huge implications. Lighter gloves mean less padding, which means harder punches and more damage with every hit. This wasn't just about delivering pain. It was about knowing that every punch thrown and received would hurt that much more. For Jake, who was used to more protective gloves, this was a game changer. The risk of cuts, bruises, and knockouts went up dramatically, making every exchange in the ring potentially fight-ending. The gloves would amplify Tyson's legendary power, turning each punch into a weapon capable of ending the fight in an instant. Finally, Tyson introduced the knockout-only rule, meaning the fight would only end when one fighter was knocked out cold. No points, no technical decisions. This was a fight to the finish. This rule wasn't just about winning, it was about proving who was the stronger fighter, who had the power to end it all. For Jake, this meant there was no playing it safe, no relying on outscoring his opponent over the rounds. Every punch had to be thrown with the intent to end the fight, and every mistake could be his last. The pressure was immense, knowing that one wrong move could lead to a crushing defeat at the hands of a man who had built his career on knocking out the best of the best. These new rules transformed what was already a high-stakes fight into a brutal battle for survival. Tyson wasn't just trying to win. He was out to prove that even after all these years, he was still the king of the ring. For Jake, this wasn't just a fight. It was a test of whether he could survive the relentless fury of a living legend. The world now waits to see if Jake Paul can endure the toughest challenge of his life, or if he'll crumble under the pressure and leave the ring in defeat. With Tyson's brutal new rules in place, the fight is no longer just about victory. It's about survival. Will Jake rise to the occasion and prove that he can stand toe-to-toe with one of the greatest fighters in history? Or will Tyson's relentless power and cunning strategy be too much for him to handle? The stage is set. The stakes have never been higher, and the outcome could very well redefine both fighters' legacies. As the boxing world holds its breath, one thing remains clear. This will be a fight that no one will ever forget. Don't miss a single update on this epic showdown. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like this, subscribe for more thrilling content, and leave a comment below with your predictions. Who do you think will come out on top? Jake Paul or Mike Tyson? We'd love to hear your thoughts.